Our next person reading is Ben Kline, and this is going to be a real treat as well. Ben is a native of the West Foothills of Appalachia, and he lives in Cincinnati, Ohio. He is the author of two chapbooks, Sagittarius A and Dead Uncles. There's a little star next to A. Dead Uncles he's holding up. Ben was the 2021 recipient of the Patricia Gedke Prize in Poetry. His work appears in Southeast Review, the Shore West Trade Review, Thrush, Cut Bank, Only Magazine, and many other publications. And you can read more about him at benklineonline.wordpress.com, which I will put into the chat, along with information about where you can buy Dead Uncles. So Ben, the stage is yours. Welcome, and thank you for being here.
Judy, thank you for the invite. I greatly appreciate it. I want to thank the South Florida Poetry Journal for having me. And I want to thank everybody for being here, and then thank Landon for going first and knocking it out.
My pleasure.
That was fantastic.
Thank you. Thank you.
Fantastic. I'm going to read 6 poems from Dead Uncles, and then I'm going to jump into new work from the 3 full-length collections I started and finished during the pandemic. So go figure. I didn't have a whole lot to do. All right. Here, and speaking of prose poems, we're going to start with the one that opens the chapbook.
Yay!
A pile. A gathering of young cousins is called a pile. It's not a reunion without aunts and dead uncles. Oak leaves from the same root share a shape, a half acre, innumerate shades. They play volleyball across a white rope tying 2 eastern hemlocks. And in the cemetery, paper plates become vases. Fingertips and loose fists, static, hair in the eye, a pile growing. At a reunion, ants flit around, scooping limp green beans and macaroni salad onto compartment foam plates. Nothing and no one touches. Uncles roll joints, discuss old girlfriends, dismiss the mill closing before Christmas, elbows and tight fists. A gathering of dead uncles is called a reverie. It's not a daydream if you must suspend all disbelief. Dead Uncle, 1979. Hail Marys lobbed at the altar from the last pew, only 25, light sentence mumbled fast, no beads, no sweat. I knew Father heard the grin inside the sleeves of my white tee rolled like James Dean, cool red vinyl of the kneeler seeping into my torn jeans, the sizzle of votives, naked Jesus, amen. He never looked me in the eye outside the dark booth. I squinted like Brando in the woods, full of tall, graceful tamaracks, grateful men. He insisted, you believe and behave as if eternity can be that easy with repetition. Blessed art thou among men who want to in ways they've been told they shouldn't. I practiced languor, forming pearl sweat, men who shouldn't always do, like Montgomery Cliff, ruined by a turn too fast into the hour of violent sarcomas, dumpsters overflowing with shriveled uncles. Other men from the park, I wandered in lavender dusk, in swelter that feels like heaven and hell, whether you believe or not. Beatitude. He sniffed my hayfield neck, sifted my midnight curls, but Grandma warned you. Oh, you sifted my hayfield necks. You sniffed my hayfield neck. I've read this poem so many times, you'd think I would get it right, but okay. We're gonna start over like Adele at the Grammys. Beatitude. You sniffed my hayfield neck, sifted my midnight curls, but Grandma warned you I kept no secrets. Where rain brings ruin, the devil calls good morning. She warned you when you cornered me, a yellow rat snake threading the locust branches, permitting me passage through thorns. Hunger has a belly but covers its ears. She warned you would tackle me in the grass, your pulse against my larynx. My tongue curled with our sweat, my incisors tested your elasticity. Your blood cooled, a small mirror in the dirt, drowning a lone ant. Grandma told you what to do when I asked you if hunger or the devil looked back. I got to consult my set list. Although I got to change it because I got to read because of Landon's entropy poem, I got to switch it up and stick in a poem that includes some entropy stuff. So.
Fantastic.
I'm going to skip that one to make room for the other one. Okay. Giving up the dew. What everybody knows what Mountain Dew is, right? Okay, where I'm from, Mountain Dew is also metaphoric for all your bad habits, just to be clear. Giving up the dew. Sneak through straight rain into dusk's silver linger. Find two wigglers, surface pink, pale as raw chicken. Pick them from the grass, never concrete. Give them the names of your best former lovers. Chop them into fourths. Drop each gooey eighth into a red plastic cup. Add 2 pinches of sodium chloride and bicarbonate. A churned mouthful of spit, 1 flake of willow bark to all 8. Cross the pasture as they stew. Collect 4 half cups of ditch water. Avoid leaves, drown squirrels, dry raven feathers atop the stream. On your way back, yank a tuft of bloomed fescue. Shred it with your lower left incisor, the one you chipped in our Christmas fight. Once home, repeat those lovers' names 3 times as you drool your weed cud into the 2nd and 5th cups. Wash your hands. Chug the first half cup from the ditch quickly, holding your breath. Sip the 2nd, the 3rd, a 4th if you can. Your belly might swell. Your flank might rumble. God or Satan might come through with fire. Rest until you cool, ghosts climbing out your lungs. Whispering mid-morning, Father, too close, myrrh, fist, thunder. There were a lot of addicts in my family, and that poem was about them. All right, I'm gonna read one more from Dead Uncles. I gotta take a drink first and a deep breath. Some of you have probably heard me read this before. Speaking of prose poems, this is one that fills almost the entire page.
Oh, yeah.
And for those unfamiliar, it is written in the pace of a square dance call. So I have to read it really fast. You might miss parts, but just hear dang lang dang in the background and you'll be good. All right. Part-time jobs in Appalachia. And it is Appalachia, not Appalachia. Let's be clear. I do-si-doed round another Sunday afternoon at the ass end of Groose Creek. Downbank, the Orlando mule with the Hitler tattoo and a grip I didn't resist made me listen to Billie Jean for the 50th time. I spun on my heel like I meant it from my hips, like a tease, the river marooning flotsam on the boat ramp behind us. I hollered ee-hee at an octave too high to echo across the river where real vice evaded arrest with intent to distribute at the park and ride. And truckers idled their rigs for lizards coming through the lot in freight shadows. Muncie semi-guy grabbed my thigh, growled, "You're getting a little too big." Picking up the scent of the new thicket below the ripped waist of my Wranglers, I took a pouty drag off his joint, dropped to my knees in his sleeper next to his blue and white cooler of Coors Light and Snickers, holding my breath when near his damp basement pits. He always wore ribbed gray tanks. He counted the black mollies I arranged on a white towel, 2, 5, 10, until he yanked me by the curls, flinging 3 crisp 20s and a Lincoln tip at me faster than any silver-haired teller craving a smoke on her break. 2 more sales and I returned to the ramp with my 150% of trickle up and Hawaiian tropic, stripping to tight white Hanes and my Reds cap over my face, listening to the barge wave slap the limestone until Deputy Jenkins outed up asking, "How much did you make?" "Enough for your cut and mine, Uncle." do I want to do one more? I'm going to read this one. I've never actually read it at a reading. Hopefully I don't stumble, but it mentions the dew again and sort of references that orange idiot that we still haven't gotten rid of. Anyway, Piper. Cheddar cubes, powdered zinc phosphide, a splash of antifreeze fill the red wheelbarrow as Dad instructed. Arabicas in palm protect my nose atop a rear tractor tire under the tin shed he built in '85. The tire wobbles as rubber does. The mice will climb the tray in time. I brought two frozen cans of dew. I shoe the terriers, the calico who winks, my little siblings. I tighten my cap, 2, 3, 5, 8, and more, find the cheese. It's not my favorite. The wind won't keep this odor, only carry it, 11, 20. Mom warned me about ghosts in the barn, brown owls, corn snakes who act like uncles, dodging the barrow because temptation is a lie, a new moon, thunder. The 51 don't hear as they seize and pop, cataracts cloak their gaze, 2 tumble out, dust blooms. I ferry them to the mud hole I dug under the garden oak, tipping the barrow, ooze and fur, little yellow headstones. Dad grins, eyes wide, white. You did good, he says. Everything's great again. All right, so that's a taste of Dead Uncles. It's very much sort of folklore and exaggerated family trauma and living on the farm in Appalachia. What am I doing on time? Okay, I'm good. I'm gonna read, we're gonna cut this one for time. Gonna read some poems from a new project called Injury Memory. The dedication line in it is a quote from my mother, who likes to say, "You get everything weird," and I do. You name a weird illness or ailment or injury, I've had it. And so the book is sort of inspired by that, and it goes through various ailments and injuries and thinks about the nature of trauma. Is trauma the injury, or is it the memory of the injury that we carry forward, and how those two things interplay as we age? It's very much a book written from the perspective of being 47, and sort of that interplay that we experience as we age and we deal with chronic issues. So I'm going to read 3 poems from that. The first was just published in The Shore, and I don't know. Oh yeah, the word is in there, so it's clear what this is inspired by. This is called Bonfire. The burn high in my belly, left of the dangling rib, the fire semicircled by grayer gaze, a boombox, processed meats on buttered maple twigs, beer foam, green luna swarming, disappointments our mothers abandoned in the creek sill. I'm watching the others undress, their cocks wiggling, my skewer gnarls and chars, promising relief, its ashen lumps caressing my hiatal until I'm empty again. The circle begins to spin. My medicine lasts hours, cold milk minutes. Beer elevates belch to area. I'm not tragic every day. I join the dervish, throw my underwear into the flames, our chorus leaping the plume, my belly a sizzle to a sear. I'm not sure how this ends. This is totally new work. It has not been published, and it is 4 pages long, so bear with me. Aw, thanks, Barbara. I have a deal with Satan, so just so we're clear, wrinkle-free. This is called Healing Doesn't Happen in a Straight Line. Healing doesn't happen in a straight line off the grinder grid through the meat rack, briars of broken glass, bedazzling the Judy Ireland memorial path a lover led me through to now, where I bend him to my wheel against Atlantic flotsam, fuzzy dunes whistling at the moon. The scar under my bicep meanders like the blue ballpoint maps Dad scribbled for bow hunters lost in our township of broken fence and sandstone precipice, rifles mounting their rear views. This scar runs elbow to armpit, a gift from a hatchet that bounced back like the hunters who popped too many cans in their stand, lost most shots to ricochet, their ankles wrenched by two-story falls and tumbles into the ditch when they tried to piss over the rocks. I tried not to graze the scar when we helped carry a hunter back to their truck, Dad always giving me the lead, a calf in each hand. The crows watched without comment. They knew the scar told only half the story. The clot clung to my left calf like a quarter to call Jesus when my finger circled its pain-free edge. Slide it in the right slide of my heart. Here, a busy signal because God's in demand. I'm an atheist, I told the PT, preparing the infrared laser machine, but I'd rather it didn't hurt. Lay back, he said, slathering gel on my leg, because pain and God are real if you feel it. It's a choice between torsos, smiles under sunglasses, my thumb pulling more, up, tap, tap, to like, to say hi. Will you undress with me, for me? Let me see what I haven't in the perfect sheen of my insides. The clot came after the graft failed. My insides shredding by the step according to the scans and the bills explaining my price for living longer than Grandpa, who died in my teens, bequeathing the drama of shooting bottle caps, headless chickens, the yellow zag across my palm, the canine I cracked against the steering wheel of our 65 Ford when he seized, and I couldn't reach the clutch fast enough to keep us out the ditch. Sorry makes sense in love songs. Love songs make sense in past tense. Past tense isn't memory, just distance. Distance forgets love songs making sense of thrombosis. The other half of the story squats like starlings under the swoop of my left pec, a loud pink blemish housed by thousands of push-ups, unfaded by years of every sunrise promising a do-over. When it aches, I revisit the afternoon the preacher sat next to me on the tailgate after we tied ropes over the hay stacked on his trailer, his cigarette and Stetson toiling trouble, his hand on my thigh. I'd yawned every fifth bale, sweating through my work shirt, but showing no slack. Dad could attack. He knew I'd been up late reading X-Men, and the preacher asked what was weighing my conscience. Most folks can't sleep, got some guilty, he claimed. Smoke forming horns around his hat, his grip too tight, his gaze on what he wanted, even if he refused to say its name or see the blade in my hand when I slid the sharp side under his eye. He hollered, his cigarette flipping into the open collar of my shirt, flaying my nipple, a little flare wedged between pocket and rib. It curves left enough I notice, but leave unspoken like a comma and a cock. He thumbs the scar, eyes asking how instead of why. Another clot to break my heart. Chronic pain is a journey. One more from that project. It's called We've Come So Far to Go. The intern at urgent care says PrEP might aid me should I catch COVID-19. Find liberty, she says, tugging the thread to narrow the gash in my shin where you can. She tugs her mask too. Larry Kramer died yesterday on my birthday, and a search reveals he made no statements about Operation Warp Speed. But suffering 1 year or nearly 40 piles too much and not enough. Or maybe both of you should consider it, she continues, turning to my lover, looking at his phone. He shouted no when the footstool broke, didn't pause when I rolled, my blood hosing his face. Freedom, he says to her, should be more collective. Yes, well, it's an option I wanted to share. The stitches itch for 2 days, stopping suddenly when Lou Sheldon dies. My lover says, who, missing my joke about us living a death style, misunderstanding my concern about how the starlings mimic a murder to chase sparrows from the eve, how one plague pitted against another isn't as far-fetched as my odds when I started swinging the broom on the stool. This is something, he says, unboxing the LED owl I ordered for the porch. All right. Now, because Landon read a poem about entropy, I'm going to read a poem from my chat book about gay marriage and gay relationships, and it's called Quantum Entanglement, and it is a villanelle. Quantum entanglement. Despite catechism, I spent years choosing unwisely. Frosted tips, low-fat Pringles, beach orgies at night, Scientology, us. We knew our love affair was too hot not to cool down by year 2. You blamed working from home, inertia, gay marriage, quantum entanglement because big science, plus the detailed spreadsheet of men I choose unwisely. Your frown a trench when my friends and chosen family recounted my escapades, providing a context for youth being glamorous and too hot not to cool down. We knew our affair was love accidental, born of comic books, a vodka soda hookup turning into weekends of sleepovers. Entropy was thus sexual catechism I chose unwisely, tucking and snapping sheets tangled on either side of my bed, weeknights devoted to other men, some of whom risked their chance to discuss how our cool down was not too hot for a love affair or two. I told many of them a name not mine, protecting what I could, what I wanted to keep for myself after years promising myself I'd choose wisely when running too hot for a love affair that must cool down if I want it to last. How am I doing on time? Oh, like 5 more minutes. Yeah, Judy, 5 more minutes. All right. I'm going to read a couple poems from the sort of unofficial sequel to Dead Uncles called Twang. This poem was published in Thrush earlier this year, and it's called Seizure. Seizure. The bees knew not the cost. Grandpa held his breath, walked the yard, his boots unlaced, copper aglets kissing clover, shoving drones off florets, dandelions busy with trade. He neared the house, the yellow oak boards free of white keel, wing, bone-broken wishes abandoned under cotton thwip. The bees knew not to say no. They gave their life in defense. Grandpa sometimes cursed, shook, throbbed, or fell. I knew not to rub his belly, soft from work. He would wake, and I knew that loss every Sunday I could not see you outside our vestments hung in the dusty bureau. I knew it was not the same, and I said yes to your breath on my neck that night. Grandpa said the race to the door slammed his heart. I did not say no to you or the bee climbing his muddy cuff. This one's called Fourth Cousins. Fourth cousins don't count in the pile for French kissing dares or the hand grenades we found in our great uncle's garage. And the courthouse says we can't marry them in this county. But how would I know the senior track star sharing my green shine eyes and brown waxwing nest of curls doesn't know? My father's middle name is his confirmation name, chosen, he says, by his mother from the Bible she locks in her nightstand. He says she never reads it. I read his lips by their ethereal creases as we lay in the back of his pickup on a tarp, our jackets pillows, relating where we want to go if our parents find us out, laughing when the grenades hiss like wet firecrackers. He says the New World Order terrifies his uncles and silence equals safety for now. I say mothers always know. He squeezes my hand, pulls another pin. All right, I got two more and then I'll be done, I promise. This one is about to come out at Rejection Letters. I don't know if anybody follows them. They're sort of like a funky, offbeat lit journal website. They publish some very interesting stuff, and I've been trying to get on there for like ages, and they finally said yes to 2 pieces, and this is one of them. And this is a tongue twister, so I hope I don't mess it up. It's called Swoon. What I want has changed halfway through my bourbon, fashioned me a stranger to myself. My tank top and shorts too loose, obscuring weight gain, and how I love you like a favorite pair of jeans splitting at the crotch. Here in this loud gay bar, shouldered by acquaintances who think they know enough to spot our differences. I want to change my feeling past tense weeks inside rewatching entire seasons, bourbon warming ice spheres, masks, hand wash, hugs held too long before parting to return to jobs we dislike, the rush of jaywalking and hot sidewalk stench, equity losing its grip. Which of us decides how long to hold on? What I want to change elbows a clear path to the restroom, bourbon emptying time by tinkle and sigh, shaking off the infrequency of calls, texts, just to ask, how are you? When I know you aren't busy with another rerun, another lover. I want halfway through the dribble to ask how we return to the feeling, who mends the scene. Songs threaded by living room dances, on rainy days we couldn't walk through the park. I want what changed to reveal who I am now next to you in this bar, halfway through another bourbon neat, swirled until the swoon makes sense. All right, one last one, a sonnet. It was just published in the fantastic British literary journal, 14 Poems. Oh my God, they are amazing. I highly recommend buying their issues. I was in an issue with Randall Mann and Mark Ward and Chad Bennett and a bunch of people. I was like, ooh, I feel fancy, but I'm not. This is called Slow Down. Everyone in the restroom wears a mask. Many of them used to pause upon toe tap or sack flash, a lingering grin, to unbutton or unzip and press their lips against me in this stall, smelling like grilled onions, cool water, stubble that rash and juicy fruit. We found ourselves without computers in our pockets, gathering at noon or by 5, in twos, trios, occasionally 4 more than could fit with the door secure. Now, we pass weeks by 6 feet in invisible flesh, searching for Charmin and soft soap, my face covered by 2 layers and trumpeted lies, looking for raised brows, a nod to quick wits, quick ends. My new message alerts turned on. I'll be vaccinated next week. Everyone in the restroom leaves when I beep. Thank you very much. This was a treat.
Thank you, Ben. That was just absolutely wonderful. I've read Dead Uncles, but I hadn't heard your newer work, so I'm really thrilled to hear it. And I know everybody loved it.